Happy 2026, guys. It's a new year. Time to start new reading goals. Have a little look back on the year past, review some of the things that we read. We'll have a little look-see at some of my, disappointments for the year as well as my top reads for the year, and I've got a few honorable mentions as well. We'll go through goals for the new year, goals for 2026. And we'll do a quick little review of our 25 from 25 that we absolutely did not complete and use that as a basis to make our 26 for 26. So let's get into it. Let's start off by ripping the Band-Aid off real quick. A few of my most disappointing reads of the year. I'm not even going to say that they were necessarily bad, they just didn't necessarily work for me. So we've got most recently How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. Listen, I didn't have very high expectations going into this one, and I didn't like hate it or anything, but it was not my favorite. Honestly, I did continue and read the second one, and that one was a lot better, in my opinion. But yeah, it was predominantly like a pacing problem and a holiday spice problem with this one. Cause like every time I think back on that candy cane, I'm just put off all over again, you know? Next we have this one's a little bit tough for me. I have both The Teacher and The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, and let's be so for real, I also read, The Housemaid's Secret this year, and, if I remember right, I didn't rate that one particularly highly either. Look, I've got very hit or miss experience with Frida McFadden, but even when they don't hit for me, again, I don't hate them. It's just more of middling kinda eh, like, it's not gonna stick with me, I'm not gonna continue thinking about it, and that's how I felt about these, and, like, The Teacher had some potential, but then the ending absolutely ruined any potential that might have been there for me, and The Boyfriend, I'll be so for real right now, I don't even remember what happened in that one at this point. And it's probably only been like a handful of months. So yeah, this past year, my Frida McFadden reads have let me down, but that doesn't mean that I'm done with her as an author. It doesn't mean that I won't pick her up again because I am so sure that I will. I'm pretty interested in The Inmate for one example, I'll probably read more of her, and whether I'll be disappointed or enjoy it, who knows? Who knows? Only time will tell. And, the last one I have here for my disappointments of the year, I consider this to be, like, my biggest disappointment of the year because I had pretty high hopes going in, and that's Gothicana by Runix. Listen, listen. The vibes were immaculate, okay? I loved the vibes, the Gothic setting, everything vibey was vibin', alright? But I expected, like, book boyfriend material when I went into this one, and I didn't get it, okay? I didn't care about the characters, I didn't care about our main girl, I really didn't care for the main guy at all. It was just all so, like, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care, and honestly, I think I actively wanted them to not be together by the end. That's how much I was not invested in the relationship, so yeah, yeah. I will say for something in that kind of gothic-y romance, whatever, dark kind of vibe that did work for me this year, Nocticadia. Nocticadia gave me what Gothicana didn't, okay? Alright, so that's it for our disappointments or bottoms of the year. Alright, before I get to my actual top reads of the year, I've got a few honorable mentions that I feel like I have to mention because they were just they were so good, like, so good for various reasons. So, I've got Silver Under Nightfall, it's like a little duology with, like, a vampire hunter, vampire throuple situation. Listen, I read that in, like, the spring, and I absolutely ate it up. I was having such a fun time. Also, I started Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies in 2025. I read the first book in January and the second one in like, I don't know, late November, early December, something like that. And I love Wendell so much. This is the kind of cozy fantasy that actually does work for me because I'm kind of hit or miss when it comes to the cozies, but this one was a hit. I'm definitely hoping to get to the Compendium of Lost Tales in the new year at some point. I read Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky, only the first one. I haven't, like, continued on the series, though I have heard that, the later books are also good. I think there's, like, a 4th one coming out in 2026, maybe? I think I heard that somewhere. Don't quote me on it, though. I could be totally wrong there. But, yeah, listen, I hate spiders, truly, truly, I hate spiders. But tell me why in this book I cared more about the spiders, the giant, alien, terrifying spiders. Yeah, I cared more about them than I did the people. Not to say that I didn't care about the people involved because I did get invested, but I was so invested in the spider life and their whole planet and everything that was going on there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really good, really well written. Then I have All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. I loved this book, and this was my first thing by this author. I have since listened to King of Ashes as well by this author, and I want to get to Razorblade Tears because I've heard phenomenal things about that one, and my experience so far from this author has been phenomenal. Like the prose is outstanding, and I don't usually say that about like mystery thriller type stories. These have almost like a there's a southern or almost like historical kind of feeling to the vibe that I've gotten from these 2 so far, but, like, this is definitely put this author super on my radar when I'm in the mood for something more thrilling and set in, like, the real world, but yeah, really, really well written. The prose is outstanding. Okay, next to my honorable mentions, I strongly considered, like, putting the series, in my tops of the year because as you get late in the series, the books get really, really good. However, the series is really long, not completed, and starts a little mid, okay? It's not like the early books in the series are bad, but it gets a lot better as you get deeper into the series, and that's The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Listen, the audiobooks are narrated by Spike from Buffy. Like, come on. Of course, I did the audiobook experience. I had been told by many of my friends for like years that I needed to check out the Dresden Files, and I finally got around to it in 2025, and I'm really glad I did. So, the top ones I have listed are Changes and Battleground, but truthfully, I'm pretty sure Skin Game is, like, the only one that I actually gave, like, 5 stars, and I'm not even sure if I did, it might have been 4.75, but, yeah, those 3 in particular, but, like, Changes and Battleground, oh my god, like, shit has gotten so real in this series, things have gone off the deep end, however, something that happened in that last book, Mr. Butcher, I will not forgive you for that. Alright? You did that character so dirty. I would have been upset with, like, the character death anyways, but the way that that went down, oh, no. No, no, no. That was unacceptable. That was that was I'm a leaf on the wind level of devastation, like, this character just did something unbelievable and amazing and was the ultimate badass, and then that's how they got taken out? Seriously, seriously, seriously. I was not okay. I was not okay. Yeah, yeah. And then the top of my honorable mentions is a series that I feel like if I had read further into the series, it would absolutely be a top of the year, but I only read book 1. Right? So that's Sun Eater by Christopher Ruocchio. I only read the first book in 2025, and I know the last book is out now, and it's blowing people's minds, it's topping everybody's list for the year who's read it, and I know I'm going to love it, so, like, realistically, I'd like to say that Sun Eater was in my tops of the year, but I only read the first book, and the first book was really, really good, and I'm definitely going to continue. I want to know Hadrian Marlowe's story. So, like, yeah. yeah, top of the honorable mentions because realistically, if I had read more than book 1, the likelihood is incredibly high that it would have made, like, tops of the year, you know? Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, okay, moving on to my actual tops of 2025. These are in no particular order because honestly, I can't pick. And they're all series. All right, so it's not any one particular book, it's the whole damn series. 2 series are incomplete and 1 is complete. So, we'll start with the complete one. It's also the one that I read most recently, Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I think this series deserves so much more hype. Not that it doesn't get some hype and attention because it absolutely does, but now that it's finished, Empire of the Dawn came out in November. I think more people need to read it. More people should be talking about it because oh my god, what a trilogy. What an epic vampire, dark, amazing trilogy. And when I got to the end, no spoilers at all. But when I got to the end, I was like, I was right, and I love being right. So, yeah, yeah, it was awesome. It was so good. Then we have Dungeon Crawler Carl. Listen, listen, I listened to these on audiobook very early in the year, and I was obsessed. I was absolutely binging them. I could not stop listening. The audiobook experience is phenomenal. It's narrated by Jeff Hayes, and I'm telling you, this man is a legend when it comes to this. But yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman is so funny and so deeply like political as you get deeper into the series and outstanding. You will absolutely fall in love with Donut the cat. Oh my god. Oh my god. I never thought that lit RPG would be for me. I was really apprehensive going into the series, but man, I was kicking myself for having put it off as long as I did because the series is phenomenal. I absolutely cannot wait for book. I believe it's 8. I think it comes out in the spring. Listen, when I like got caught up on the series, I finished the books. I looked at one of my friends and was like, I could listen to it again right now. And I never feel that way. Like I never finish a series and go, "Oh, I wanna read that again right this very second." But that's how I felt with Dungeon Crawler Carl. I didn't. I put it off. I only listened to it once. I'm going to do a reread or re-listen before the new book comes out. So, be prepared for that in 2026. And finally, my tops for the year, the long awaited Red Rising. I read the first book like 2 years ago and loved it, but then put the rest of the series off forever. I think it was just a timing thing because when I finished the first book, it was like in the fall and I wanted to read vampire books. And then, it just took me a long time to get back to it. But I reread the first book this year and then continued on. I am all caught up, but there's still one more book to come, Red God. And I'm pretty sure there have been rumors of it coming in 2026, but there's no official release date. So is it going to happen? We don't know for sure. But if it does, you can bet your ass I'm gonna be continuing as soon as it comes out. Because if you haven't read Red Rising by Pierce Brown, what are you waiting for? Oh my god, Darrow, Severo. Listen, listen, it's so good. People describe it as Hunger Games in space, and I think that's fairly accurate for like half of the first book. But yeah, it gets a bit broader in scope, and the friendships and the betrayals. Oh my god, what a journey. Being friends with Cassius, what a journey. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, no particular order, but my tops of 2025 were Empire the Vampire, Dungeon Crawler Carl, and Red Rising for sure. All right, before we go through our list of the 25 for 25 and make our 26 for 26, let's just do a little quick talk about some of my priorities going into 2026 as a reader for like productivity or whatever. So, First on my priorities list for 2026 is more physical reading. I leaned heavier on audiobooks in 2025 than I have in the previous years that I've been tracking my reading, anyways. And hey, I'm not necessarily saying I want to listen to less audiobooks. I love audiobooks. But I have a very large physical TBR. I consider it to be like endless and ever growing. And when I looked at my stats for the year, I didn't read a whole crazy lot physically. Well, I mean, that's all a matter of perspective, but okay, I read like, I don't know, 105, 106 books, and only 30 some odd of them were read with my eyeballs, you know? Probably 70 were audiobooks or something like that. And I previously have had that split more in the 45-55%, 40-60, 50-50. That was my more common kind of split. So to see it so heavily skewed towards audiobooks and my book buying habits being what they are, yeah, 30 some odd in the year, that's not enough. It's not enough. So I'm looking towards building the habit of reading physically daily. Now, if that's only an hour or 20 minutes or whatever it is, I'm trying to fit some physical reading into my day to day more so than just, mood whenever it strikes. And that's, I'm not gonna beat myself up too much about it. If there's a day that I don't read physically, so what? It's just I just wanna make it more of a habit because, Imma keep getting new books, and the endless TBR is not shrinking anytime soon, and I would like it to shrink a little bit, here and there. So, yeah, a little bit more of a priority on reading with my eyeballs, and along those same lines, I would like to make more use of Kindle Unlimited because I've been paying for it and I barely used it in 2025. Like, I might have read four things on my Kindle all year and paid for it the whole year, you know? So I'd like to get back to how it was a couple years ago. I used to make a point to read at least one thing on my Kindle basically every month, ideally one to two things. So like one month, two the next. But that doesn't necessarily help me decrease my endless physical TBR, even though it is more physical reading. So, while I do want to make more use of Kindle Unlimited, maybe it's more that I need to evaluate how much I'm actually using it on whether or not that's a subscription that I need to keep in the future. But either way, I would like to make use of it because there are things on there that I want to read that I don't physically own. And if I'm not going to read it on Kindle Unlimited, I'm going to end up buying the book. Like it's going to happen. And we're trying to avoid that? Um, and along that lines of trying to avoid that, I intend to buy a little bit less books this year. I am not putting myself on a book buying ban, just a little bit of reduction. One, because my shelves are over full. There are a whole bunch of books downstairs that have to make their way up here onto these shelves, and there's no room for them. They're not gonna fit on these shelves as it stands, and I don't intend to get another shelf until the spring because, well, I don't really have room for more shelves either. I mean, there is some room in the house, like, we'll fit the books in, but I like having my books in this room, and, there's not a lot of room. So, and as part of that, I have reduced my monthly subscription books. In 2025, if I used zero skips, I had 30 books in the year as part of monthly subscriptions, not to mention special editions I ordered on top of that. Going into 2026, if I don't use any skips, my new structure has me at 22 monthly subscription books. So that's a reduction of 8, and there are skips available. So we'll see. We'll see. Another goal for 2026 is I'm starting journaling. This is something it's not even necessarily like journaling per se as like it's a physical tracking of my productivity with regards to reading, writing, and how much time I'm putting into content creation because I also, another point on this list is I want to be much more consistent with content creation because I've got such a bad habit of falling off. I'm so not consistent, and I don't like that about myself, but it's happened. It's happened so many times, and I wanna get better about it. So, I'm journaling physically. It's something I tried a couple years ago and also fell off with that. It's a bit of trend in my life is I get really into something and then I lose interest and fall off. Yeah, yeah, and then we cycle back to it, and then we cycle back to it, and then we cycle back to it. So hopefully this year, the act of writing it down will help keep me on top of it because I would like to get back into building a writing habit, whether that's something that I eventually one day want to actually publish as, books, or if it's just something for me because I like the act of writing, but I lost the habit of it. So the idea behind the journaling is if I go to sit down to, like, record my journal for the day and it says that I didn't do the thing, like, I didn't do any physical reading or I didn't do any writing or, whatever it is that I'm tracking, I'm gonna feel bad when I have to write down that I didn't do it, or I have nothing to fill into that spot in the journal without having, like, a justifiable reason, you know? Like, if what I'm writing down for that day was, "Oh my god, I was dying, I was so stomach sick, I had, food poisoning," or whatever, then, it is what it is, we're all human. Even if you treat things like a job, guess what? People have days off from jobs, people have sick days, people take vacations. I'm not using this as a way to be super hard on myself, but I am using it as a way to motivate myself. We'll see if it works. We'll see if I keep up with it throughout the year, but I've got some cute stickers and washi tape, and yeah, I'm excited for the journaling. And finally, on my priorities for 2026, this one is a light priority, but I want to dip my toes back into dabbling with some classics every once in a blue moon. In my lifetime, I've read a number of classics. Like, it's a non-zero number, but it's not a hugely massive number compared to, say, the amount of, like, fantasy and sci-fi and stuff that I've read. But I've read some, but I haven't read any in a long time. Not really. So, yeah, I'm thinking a classic a quarter. So that's 4 in the year, 1 every roughly 3 months. Now, don't have to be spaced evenly 3 months apart, but you know what I mean. 1 in the 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, so on. So, yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope. What are some of your priorities moving into 2026? I'd love to know. Drop a comment down below to let me know what are your plans, your priorities for productivity or for reading or writing or whatever it is that you've got as a priority in this new year. I'd love to hear about it. I don't necessarily consider them resolutions, but hey, if that's the words you want to use for it, cool. What are your New Year's resolutions? Comment down below. All right, and finally, let's go through our 25 for 25 and see which ones we've checked off and which ones we're going to carry forward into 2026. Okay, so number one on my 25 and 25 was Red Rising. We've already talked about it. I've read it. I am going to put it on my 26 for 26 as Red God if Red God comes out. So this one gets an asterisk. All right, but I will tell you, look, I'll be so for real. I've already gone through this list and filled up the remaining spots for the 2026. And then after the fact, realized there were a couple priority reads for me for the year that somehow I forgot while making the list. So I've got a little overflow honorable mention kind of, couple books. Yeah, so if Red God doesn't come out in 2026, we can slot one of those in instead. All right, we'll get to those at the end. But next we had the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. Yeah, I haven't read it. I haven't. It's actually crazy how many times I put Jade City on a TBR and still didn't read it. And it's not that I don't want to read the series. I don't know why I keep not picking it up, okay? It's just right there. Look, I'm looking at it. Do you see it? Do you see it on the shelf? Behind the little dagger? Yeah. Yeah. I wanna read it, and we're gonna carry it over onto our 26 and 26. This is the problem with my list, though. I don't just put a book, I put, like, a series in nearly every spot. So it's like, "Oh, yeah, 25 books for the year," but actually it's more like 80, and, yeah, so we'll see if we get to it. Is 2026 the year that we get to it? Who knows? Only time will tell. Oh, and tangent, there's D&D happening upstairs, so if you occasionally hear some laughter or talking that's not me or anything in the background, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't hear it, okay? You didn't. Shh. It's fine. Anyways, next off of our 25 and 25 was Realm of the Elderlings. Like, this is what I'm talking about when I put whole ass series on there. Realm of the Elderlings, that's like what, 13, 14 books long? Something insane. Yeah, yeah. I started it. I read Assassin's Apprentice, which is the first book of the Farseer trilogy. Yeah. So I started it. So we can technically check that off as a success because did I start the Realm of the Elderlings? Yes. Did I complete it? Oh, no, I didn't even complete the first trilogy. I just read the first book. So what we're going to do, we're going to be a little bit kinder in 2026. I'm not going to put the Realm of the Elderlings on my list. I'm going to put the Farseer trilogy on my list. So we're going to continue because I enjoyed meeting Fitz. I enjoyed his story. I liked the magic system. It was really interesting, but I will say the writing was a slow. These books are slow and a little bit long, but I mean fantasy. Come on, nearly everything's long. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the Farseer trilogy on the 26 and 26, so that maybe in 27 we can get to the ships, whatever the next one is, Ship of Magic or whatever the ships trilogy is. Mad Ships, maybe? Or is that by someone else? I don't know, but that's the trilogy I'm the most excited for. Don't tell Fitz. Next on my 25 and 25, oh, another one we've already talked about, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm completely caught up, so that's an actual real success. I didn't just read the first book, I listened to them all, and you know I am putting the next book on my 26 for 26. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the title is A Parade of Horribles, and I'm pretty sure it's set to come out in the spring, like May or maybe early June or something. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna be listening to that one. And like I said earlier, we're probably gonna listen to the whole series again and be fully caught up because I love it so much. It's so funny. Oh my god. Next on my 25 and 25 was Onyx Storm. Did I read it? Yes, I'm totally caught up on the Empyrean series. I enjoy Fourth Wing. Okay, are they particularly brilliantly well written? No, no. But they are entertaining. And sometimes that's all I need. I don't need every book to be a brilliant masterpiece. Sometimes I just want to be entertained. Is that so wrong? Because honestly, for me, that's what this series is. But I don't think we have any kind of release date for book 4, so I'm not anticipating it in 2026, so we're not gonna carry anything over from that series to our list. So, yeah, that's our first one that we got to check off that we don't carry anything over from. Next we have the Souls Trilogy by Harley Laroux. Oh man. Yeah, I didn't read it. I didn't read it. I have the beautiful, like, Fable editions as well, and I waited an incredibly long time for them, and they came with a misprint, so that's fun, that's fun. But yeah, I fully intended to read these in the fall, but in the fall, I got on a super big, like I don't wanna say reading slump because I was still reading, but it was pretty much all audiobooks. Like, I didn't read much physically in, like, September, and that's when I would have wanted to read these because when October rolls around, I want vampires. And I get that this is like a dark demon romance kinda situation, definitely fall vibes. But when October rolls around, I want vampires. You understand? So because I was in a bit of a physical reading slump in September, it just didn't happen. And in my mind, I was like, well, maybe I'll get to it in November. No, no. No, honey, it didn't happen, alright? So, yeah, we're gonna carry the Souls Trilogy over onto our 26 for 26. This trilogy is starting to become a little bit of a TBR veteran for me, so hopefully we get to it this year, and you know what? Maybe I don't need to save it for the fall. You know, maybe it can be just like a dark springtime read, you know? Listen, I live in Canada. Summer is short. It's not bright sunny for long periods of the day for very much of the year. You know, I could fit this in the winter. It's nearly always winter. All right, next on my list of 25 for 25 was From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata, and I read it. I finally got this one off of my list. This was another like kind of like TBR veteran. I think I read it around Valentine's Day-ish, like sometime in February while it was still winter because like, you know, it's a ice skating type of romance, and yeah, it was good. It was super slow burn, which I went into being aware of, which I'm glad that I was aware that Mariana Zapata is, like, known for slow burns because for a contemporary romance, that book's pretty long, and for it to take so long for, you know, things to get cooking between them, I might have struggled if I didn't know going in that it was a slow burn. So, you know, do with that information what you will. But as far as contemporary romance goes, I have a tendency to rate contemporary romance lower than like romantasy, and it's not intentional. I just tend to find them more mid. It's probably just my experience of treating romances largely as like palate cleansers between longer series. Maybe it's just an emotional impact thing. Maybe I'm just used to the stakes being so much higher. So, you know, take my romance ratings with a grain of salt. But it was good. I will read from this author again in the future. Although I'm not going to like put another one of her books in this kind of spot on the next one. We're just going to check this one off and move along. Next on the list is Boys of Tommen. Yeah, you can see them down there, down there. See how my hair's not in the way? You can see the ombre spines right down there by Squishmallow Jack. Yeah, yeah, I haven't read them. I haven't. I've bought them all, so I've got, you know, all the books that exist up to this point. Is the series done? I don't know. I don't know. It's like a rugby sports romance, teenager romance, but apparently it's very heavy and emotional, and everybody sobs and cries so much reading it. And yeah, I haven't brought myself to that level of emotional damage yet. Okay? All these books are longer than they look, and there's like, I don't know, 6 books or something? 6 long books of teenage rugby romance emotional damage. But people love it and say it's amazing, and I have serious FOMO about it, and I need to know. I need to know about, what is it, Johnny and Shannon or whoever the couples are. There are multiple couples, and honestly, my biggest draw to the series outside of the FOMO of people loving it and me wanting to know why, I used to play rugby, like, I don't know, 20 years ago, basically a lifetime ago. But yeah, I used to play rugby, so that appeals to me. And honestly, as far as contemporary romance goes, I've had a better time with some of the sports romance than a lot of the other ones. So it gives it a leg up. We're going to carry it over onto the 26 for 26, and we'll see if we get to it. I'm skeptical, but I do want to read it. So we're going to carry it over. Okay, next up, we get another one that we get to check off the list because it's Empire of the Damned, and I did read it. I then also read Empire of the Dawn, so I'm, you know, fully finished the Empire of the Vampire series. So we can check this one off. And hey, I already told you it was among my tops of the year. Read it. Read it. It's so good. I was actually like completely obsessed with Gabe. Ah! Oh my God. And Dior. Oh, the story is so good. So good. It's unreal and, like, violent and bloody and just outstanding. Jay Kristoff really did something with the series, and honestly, it makes me wanna read more of his work, and I've picked up Nevernight, so it's possible. I'm not moving Nevernight onto the 26th for 2026, though I probably should have, honestly, because I do want to read more from this author from how much I loved Empire the Vampire. Next on my list, Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. So I have in the past few years, in 2024, I read ACOTAR. In 2025, I listened to Throne of Glass. No, no, that's wrong. In 2023, I read ACOTAR, and in 2024, I listened to Throne of Glass. So in 2025, I listened to Crescent City. Yes, yes, that's how time works. Basically, I did a series each year. So now I'm caught up on the Massiverse, and I can say with confidence that Throne of Glass is her best series. Now, people say with Crescent City that like the first book's amazing and then it falls off after there, specifically the third book being so bad. I would say that book 2 is pretty much on par with book 1, and book 3 isn't that much worse, with the exception of, like, one scene. There's one scene in the battle near the end that anytime I think of it, I just can't help but laugh at the absolute ridiculousness that is that scene, and it totally, like, takes me out of it entirely. But I'm not, like, a huge SJM girly. I think her books are fine. I don't think they're absolute hot garbage like some people seem to think, but I also don't think they're life-changing, world-ending, new favorite of all time series. And that was kind of what made me a little disappointed when I read the first ACOTAR book. Now, I did continue the series and it was fine, but the way people like blow up that series and talk about it, I thought it was going to be like a world changing, change my brain chemistry kind of book. Like I read The Sword of Kaigen in 2024 and I've not been the same person since. It rewired my brain. Nothing in the Massiverse has rewired my brain. So, yeah. Now, as far as I know, Crescent City is done, right? If there are more books coming, I'll probably read them. This is the thing, is like, I think her books are fine. But at this point, I'm caught up on the Massiverse, and I don't know of anything that's scheduled to come out in 2026. So we don't have anything to carry forward from this one. Next on my list, oh, this is another one that we talked about briefly, Sun Eater by Christopher Rocchio. I read the first book and I have not continued, but I really, really want to. So we are going to put Howling Dark, which is the second book. I'm pretty sure the first one was Empire Silence. So we're going to put Howling Dark on the list for 26 for 26. I would like to say that we will read like the whole series and get totally caught up, but I'm not guaranteeing it. So what I'm putting on the list is Howling Dark. It's a little arbitrary how I'm like putting just a book on versus a whole series, but whatever. All right. Next we have Six of Crows dash Shadow and Bone. I had them put all together in one spot. Yeah. Because see, here's the thing. I really want to read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, but some people have told me that I should read Shadow and Bone first. Other people say you don't have to read Shadow and Bone. You can just go ahead and read Six of Crows. But I listened to those other people and I bought the Shadow and Bone like box set. Like you can see them up there. They're there, right? Just right there next to Poe. Anyways, I can kind of say I was successful in the sense that I read the first Shadow and Bone book, Shadow and Bone. It was mid. I thought I was gonna love the Darkling. Eh, didn't care. Didn't care, have not continued, and I need to, or I need to just DNF that series and move on to Six of Crows. One or the other needs to happen in 2026 because this has been on my TBR for too long, and I really want to read Six of Crows. So we got to get on this. So yes, we are carrying this over onto the list for 26 and 26, and I am keeping them together in one spot because, like I said, I've already got overflow books. Okay, so yeah. Next, I have again two series in one spot, and that's Caraval and the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Again, you can see them; they're just right there, a little bit lower, under fourth wing. Anyways, yeah, I didn't get to them. I didn't get to either of them. So we're gonna push them both forward onto the 26th for 2026. But in this case, we are gonna split them apart. There are people who have read the trilogy separately. Lots of people say to read the Caraval trilogy first, and other people say, "Nah, don't matter, just go ahead, read Once Upon a Broken Heart." But in this case, I do wanna read both of them, so I probably will read them in order, but we're gonna give them the breadth of each trilogy taking up a spot, because I've gotta be kind to myself. If not, this 26 books is gonna be damn near 100, okay? Like, cut me a little slack, okay? All right, next on the 25 for 2025 was The Night Circus, and I read it. I finally freaking read it. It was a TBR veteran for so long, and I read it in like December. Oh, you see the hole in the bookshelf right next to my face, right here, next to Sue Tan and Allie Hazelwood. Yeah, that's where The Night Circus should be. It's still downstairs at this point because that's how recently it was that I read it. I haven't brought it back up to the shelf. And, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I kind of expected to like it more, but it was really good. The atmosphere, the vibes were outstanding, and I loved the circus. I just had a lot of questions throughout. And we got some of those questions answered at the end, but I felt like there was a little too much time where things were left in the dark, and not just for me, the reader, but also for our main characters. And I was like, "Man, like, nobody knows what's going on here," you know what I mean? But I did really enjoy it, and I'm really glad that I read it, and it's a TBR veteran off the list, and yeah, another one we don't have to carry forward, so that's cool. Next on the list is another success. We have Vicious by V. Schwab. This was a TBR veteran as well, and I read this one in November, like late November. These were 2 that I had put on my 10 before the end, specifically from my 25 and 25, so I'm glad that we got those off the list. I enjoyed Vicious, but again, it was a situation where I thought I would enjoy it a bit more than I did, but I did still really like it. However, this is a case of I thought the ending was quite satisfying, but I know there's a second book, and I don't know if I want to pick it up. I haven't decided and I haven't, like, ordered it or anything. I don't know if I'm going to because, honestly, I liked this book well enough, but I felt like it had a rather satisfying conclusion, so I don't know if I feel like a second book is necessary. Now, granted, it's a little unfair for me to make that judgment without having read the second book, so, who knows, who knows? But, like, if I read the second book, I might be like, "Oh, man, this was so needed," you know? But I don't know if I really wanna go there. So, yeah, there's that. Alright, next on my list, we had a TBR veteran series, and that was Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. I finally read the series. I have the beautiful Fairy Loot editions, and I read them as part of my vampire reading for October. It did bleed into November for a chunk of the month as well, but come on, it's a 6-book series. Give your girl a break, okay? Anyway, they were really fun, honestly, for a, like, YA vampire story. I tend to find sometimes the YA can lean a little more cringy, but I didn't feel too cringed out in this one all that much, and we had a little bit of a forbidden romance kinda situation, you know, teacher-student, and yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Truthfully, I did, but I read all the books, so I'm caught up, and that is off of the TBR and doesn't have to be brought over onto our list for 2026. Next on my list, though, we had the opposite situation. It was a series, and I didn't read it, and it was The Three Body Problem. So we can just take that one and we can just plop that right onto our list for 26 in 2026 because I still want to read it. It's a sci-fi series. It's my understanding it's pretty out there and like mind bending. So it's one of those things that like I need to mentally be present for it, you know? I don't know when we're gonna fit it in, but I would like to get to this one. Next on the list, we have the Murderbot Diaries. Now, I'm gonna call this a success because I did continue in the series this year or this past year, but I still have one more to read, and I'm relatively certain there's one set to come out maybe in the summer, maybe the spring, something like that. I'm pretty sure that I heard there's one coming out in 2026. So We are gonna carry this one over onto our list for 26 because, like I said, I still have one to get caught up on, and there is, I'm pretty sure, a new one coming out. But I do count it as a success from my 25 and 25 because I did make more progress in the series. Next on the list, we have The Expanse by James S. A. Corey. And that one I get to count as a success because I read the first book, Leviathan Wakes, and I really enjoyed it. But I read it in like May and I have not continued on. But I do have like the whole series in paperback. I got them for Christmas in 2024 and I had the lofty hopes that I would read the whole series in 2025. Yeah, that didn't happen. But I read the first one, so we're gonna put book 2, which is Caliban's War, on the list of 26 for 2026. Let's see, what's next? Oh, another failure. Yeah, that's the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. Yeah, we can just put that right onto the list of 26 for 2026. I have not started. These books are a little intimidating in their girth. They're a little bit chonky. There's 4 books in the series. It's described as like a silk punk kind of story. There seems to be these like giant airships, but it's also a very large scope. Like, it's my understanding that book 1 reads almost like the history of a world and spans like 1,000 years and is very different than what a lot of stories are, like, in its storytelling, I don't know, in its structure, I guess, the story structure. But I don't know because I haven't read it, and honestly, I think I might have just intimidated myself too much about it, and I haven't started it yet. But I really want to read it. I have the gorgeous broken binding, like midnight editions, the kind of purpley ones. They're just over there, but they're so sideways you can't really see them. But yeah, they're stunning. They're gorgeous. I'm very excited to read the series. But I didn't in 2025, so let's put it on the list. It's on the list. Next up we have The Crimson Moth. This is the first book in a duology. I can see it right there on my shelf. And yeah, I haven't read it. I haven't read it. I've been waiting to get the second book. I ordered the matching Fairy Loot edition and it wasn't due to ship until like early this year, but I'm pretty sure it got delayed. I'm relatively certain that I got an email about that, and that just made me further put it off because I was thinking that maybe I'd read The Crimson Moth, like, late in the year so that it wouldn't be too far away from when I got the second one, but when it got delayed, so did my interest in reading the first one. So yeah, we're carrying that one over to 2026, and hopefully when I get the second one, we'll just hop right on it and devour the 2 of them together. Like, it's just a little duology. I heard very positive things about it. I'm pretty sure it's like a witch hunter kind of romance. I don't know. And I'm relatively certain that I got it in the YA subscription before I switched to Romantasy, which, by the way, I've canceled my Romantasy subscription. I had it for a little over a year, and I think I've read like 1 of the books. Now, there are other books that I want to read. Some of them are very high on my want to read list, but I haven't been picking them up. So that's where my 8-book reduction in subscription boxes came from. I went from monthly Romantasy to quarterly epic fantasy with Fairy Loot, and then my Broken Binding subscriptions remain the same. Anyways, that's a tangent. So next on the list, we had Rewind It Back by Liz Tomforty. I read it. I'm totally like caught up or finished the Windy City series. It's so good as far as a contemporary sports romance series goes. Man, the series was fantastic. You had me kicking my feet, giggling, rooting for sports teams when I don't care about those sports at all. Like, okay, the first book's about hockey. I'm Canadian, all right? I'm not a huge sports fan. I'm not what you would consider to be a hockey fan, but I can root for some hockey teams. And then we had basketball. Okay, I played basketball in high school, fine. Then we ended up in baseball. Yeah. Yeah, you shoulda lost me at baseball, Liz Tom 40, but you didn't. You kept me. You so had me there. I was rooting for our boys. I was rooting for the team. I was rooting for the romance. I was rooting for the single dads when normally I don't care about that trope at all. So, yeah. Yeah, she did a really good job with that series. And honestly, the spin off series, the book about Monty, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. So, even though, yes, we checked this one off the list, did I? I didn't. I should have put the spin-off series on my list in this spot because I'm going to read it. Remember when I said I only read a couple of books on my Kindle? Yeah. Yeah, that was one of them, the Rewind It Back. Anyways. That one was a success. Next on my list is, Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Okay, we're gonna carry it forward onto the list for 26 and 26, but we're putting an asterisk by it. Hear me out. I started it at the very end of December. I am currently about halfway through. So I'm putting it on the list as carrying forward as the continuing of the series. However, I'm only halfway through book 1. If we get to the end of book 1 and I don't like it and I don't wanna continue, then that's one we can take off the list and, use one of my overflow books for as well. In the way that, like, if Red God doesn't come out this year, we can use one of the overflow books to fill that spot. Yeah, if I don't want to continue Beartown after finishing book 1, we can slot something else in here, but I am gonna carry it forward because I barely started Beartown in 2025. I did start it, but barely. You know what I mean? Anyways, yeah. So little asterisks on that one, but we are carrying forward. Okay. Next, ooh, this is a chunky one. When the Moon Hatched. I didn't read it, and I know people are eagerly awaiting the second book that I'm pretty sure comes out in 2026, and people are hyped for it, and I still haven't read the first one. I know. She's thick, but I've read longer books. Like, I don't know why I'm letting thickness discourage me sometimes, and other times I'm just like, nom, gobble it up. But yeah, we're gonna carry it forward and hopefully I love it, and then I'll wanna read the second one when it comes out, and yeah. So, When the Moon Hatched by, what is it, Sarah A. Parker or something? We're carrying that one forward to 2026. And then number 25 on my 25 for 25 was Quicksilver by, was it Kelly Hart? I did not read it, and I know the second one, Brimstone, just came out in, what was it, November, October? November. I think it was late November. People were still going crazy about Quicksilver, people were super hyped for Brimstone. I still haven't read it, and this is one that I intend to read on my Kindle, so this is the kind of situation I'm talking about. If I don't read it on my Kindle, I'm gonna end up buying it, and I don't know if I'm going to love it. So why should I buy it? Like, you know what I mean? Although I buy lots of books that I haven't read, and yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna carry this forward because I'm still curious. I still want to know what all the hype was about. Maybe I will love it, you know? Some of these Fae romantasies work for me, and some of them really don't. But I want to meet Kingfisher. I want to know what all the hype was about, and maybe I'll want to read Brimstone. So, yeah, we are going to carry it forward. Looking at my list here, it seems I made an honorable mention for 2025's list as well. Funny, but I said to reread The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I reread The Hobbit, not The Lord of the Rings. So, there's that. But I reread The Hobbit in March, somewhere around my birthday. I read it with my eyeballs. And I think if I were to reread The Lord of the Rings in 2026, I would probably do the Andy Serkis audiobooks because I haven't listened to like that version, And I love The Lord of the Rings. I love it. Such a comfort read for me, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. The Hobbit's actually my favorite, even though I read The Lord of the Rings first and more times in my life. Anyways, so that's everything that we had on our 25 for 25. So let me take a look here at my list. So when I look at where Quicksilver is in my 26 for 26 list, it's at 18, which means we had 18 things carried forward, but some of them weren't actually failures. They were like, oh, I'm caught up, but the next one's coming out. So, like Red Rising, Dungeon Crawler Carl. Well, that's really it. But, like, I would consider Murderbot Diaries to be a win as well. There were some other ones that I had started but haven't, like, continued, like Farseer and technically Shadow and Bone. Murderbot, I've only got one left. Like, they weren't all 18 of those spots, like, just pure failures out of 25, but I'd say we're like half, roughly. Let me actually count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, there's 10 that I purely haven't read any of, and a few more of them where I've only read the first one. So I think half is a fair rough estimate. We'll call it half successful on the 25 for 25. But okay, so I'll go through those first 18 and then I'll give you the rest of the 26 for 26 and the couple of overflow books that we get to slot in if something doesn't make the cut. So, number 1, Red God, if it releases in 2026. 2, the Greenbone Saga. 3, Farseer Trilogy. I've already read book 1. 4, Parade of Horribles, or whatever the title is of the newest Dungeon Crawler Carl book. 5, the Souls Trilogy. 6, the Boys of Tommen. 7, Howling Dark, so continuing Sun Eater. 8, we have Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone. 9, Caraval. 10, Once Upon a Broken Heart. Oh, but I split those up, so that's one less as well. Anyways, on the numbers, it doesn't matter. 11, The Three Body Problem. 12, Murderbot Diaries. 13, Caliban's War, so continuing the Expanse. 14, The Dandelion Dynasty. 15, The Crimson Moth. 16, but with an asterisk, Beartown. Because again, if I finish the first book and don't want to continue, we're not continuing it. Like, that's fine. 17, When the Moon Hatched. 18, Quicksilver. So, next on my list of 26 for 26 is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I put this on my 10 before the end in 2025 and I didn't get to it. And I have seen so many rave reviews of this book. I own the book. I pre ordered the book. I've had it since it first came out and I really want to get to it. I want to read it. It's set in the 80s. It's about like a female astronaut in like NASA's shuttle program or something. I'm very excited to read it. Number 20, this one, I bought this one on a whim in December. So it's not a TBR veteran. It's something I haven't had for all that long, but it's massive and I'm so excited to read it. So we're putting it on the list. And that's The Monstrous Compendium. So it's a graphic novel bind up of a whole bunch of volumes in one like massive book. It's like full color, gorgeous illustrations, and I think it's the first like 8 or 10 volumes of the Monstrous series. But when I flipped into the book, I'm pretty sure it had like 48 or 50 chapters. So I was thinking maybe I'll read like one chapter a week or like on the weekend read one chapter and then go from there. Will it happen that way? Probably not. Probably not. I'll be so honest. We're already into the first weekend of the new year, and your girl hasn't read chapter 1. So, yeah. Not looking like we're off to a startling success with that one, but I do really want to read it, even though it's huge. It's just a graphic novel. Like, the chapters won't take that long to read. They can't possibly. Next on the list, number 21, we have The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. And that's The Tainted Cup and A Drop of Corruption, I believe the second book is called. I really want to read this. It's like a fantasy. I think it's kind of like a fungal world. I could be wrong on that part. But it's supposed to have like a Sherlock and Watson kind of buddy cop investigative kind of vibe to it, and I love me some Sherlock Holmes. Like, my black cat, his name is Sherlock for a reason. Thank you, Benedict Cumberbatch. I gotta say, the BBC Sherlock is my favorite Sherlock. But that's just personal taste. Next on the list, number 22, The Silver Blood Promise, and that's by I think it's James Logan. I'm pretty sure the second book in that one is also out, and I've heard so many good things about this book when it first came out. Like, I think 2 years ago, and I haven't gotten to it, but I think 2026 is the year. I get the feeling there might be a heist in this, but I could be so far off the mark because it's probably been, like, those 2 years since I read the blurb for it, so I clearly don't remember, but I've wanted to read it for quite some time now, and I'm putting it on the list. This is what I wanna read. This is my list. I mean, most of the list was pre-made for me by things I didn't get to last year, but it doesn't matter. With the slots I have left, this is one of my choices. Next on the list, we have number 23, One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. That's One Dark Window, and is it Two Twisted Crowns, I believe the second book is? It's a completed duology, it's gothic, it's dark romance, I think, but it's my understanding the romance is on the lighter side, and people always talk about how awesome and intriguing the magic system is. It's got, like, a magic system involving cards, and that's so cool. As a girl who has played Magic the Gathering, cards do appeal to my interests. I've also, grew up in a house where tarot cards were very present in my childhood. I'm really interested in the magic system. People seem to hold this series very very highly regarded in comparison to other, like, romantasy, gothic kinda stories, so I have pretty high hopes, but we'll see. Next up, number 24, this is a pick from my romantasy Fairy Loot subscription. Like I said, there were a couple that are pretty high on my want to read list, despite the fact that I've had it and not read it for, like, a year. So we're gonna put one on here because I didn't say it in my priorities for the year. I do wanna read down more of my special editions, okay? I have quite a lot of them that have not been read. So, one of them is Heavenly Bodies by, ooh, is it Imani Iru? Something like that. I am so sorry if I just butchered the author's name, but Heavenly Bodies. I've heard very, very positive things about this. This is the first book in the series. The second book is out, and yeah, I wanna read it. It's like celestial magic, I'm pretty sure. So it's like a celestial romance. Do we fall in love with a star, perhaps? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. And then number 25, this ties into another of my priorities for the year. Remember I said I wanted to read a classic a quarter? We've made it all the way down through this list, and guess what? There ain't no classics here. What? So we had to put one on. So hopefully this will be my classic for quarter one. I'm hoping to read it in February, probably close to Valentine's, and that's Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, your girl Jane Austen. I've never read her. Never read any of her stuff, never read Sense and Sensibility, Emma, none of it. And I want to. And people love Pride and Prejudice. It's a classic for a reason, and I want to know. I want to know about this tremendous romance, and I'm excited for it. So that's number 25 on our list. And finally, number 26 on our 26 for 26 would actually be a reread for me, but I first read these books when I was in high school. So we're talking over 20 years ago. And I'm also going to tell you that I didn't read the first book first. I read it from like our public library, and I think I picked up book two first. Think possibly book 3, I don't know, but it's A Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, George R.R. Martin. We're talking Game of Thrones. It's been over 20 years. I don't think I finished the series. I don't even know if more than 3 books were out. Maybe 4 when I read them. I don't know. It was long before the show happened, and I wanna read the books. I want to re immerse myself in this world. And I noticed when I unpacked from moving, well, I think I noticed when I packed to move, but I couldn't find my copies at all. And then, yeah, when I unpacked, I confirmed that I couldn't find my copies. So during the Black Friday sales from my bookstore, I got the mass market paperbacks for a song. Like they were ridiculously well priced. Okay. When I first saw the new covers, I was a little bit like, but then they grew on me and grew on me, and then I wanted them. So yeah. Yeah. Anyways, A Song of Ice and Fire is number 26 on my 26 for 26. And now, I mentioned that I thought of a couple things afterwards and was like, "Oh, shoot, I needed to put that on that list. How did I miss it?" These are things that I fully intend to read in 2026 that didn't fit onto this list. So these are our flex-ins for if, say, Red God doesn't get released, or if I don't like Bear Town, so I'm not going to continue. Things like that. All right, these are our alternates. These are our possibilities. Honorable 26ers that go beyond 26. All right. Okay, so first up, we have Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I put it on my 10 before the end and I didn't get to it. I am going to read this. I've read pretty much all of Ali Hazelwood's novel length books. I haven't read the novellas, but I'm going to read this. I own this. I'm shocked that I haven't read it already. I'm not gonna say that Bride was my favorite Ali Hazelwood because it wasn't, but I love vampires, werewolves, all of that kind of supernatural, speculative, paranormal romance kind of elements. I'm here for it. There is absolutely no reason that I would expect that I wouldn't get to Mate before the year is over. Next up, we have The Raven Scholar. I have been hearing so many positive reviews of this book. I own it. I got the paperback on a whim. I want to say in the summer or maybe in the fall. It's shiny and it triggered my propane to just be like, ah, 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 and take that thing home with me. So, yeah, I keep hearing the positive reviews on it. It's making it high onto people's lists for 2025. Like, for some people, it's their top book of the year or, in their top 10, their top 3, whatever. And I really, really, really want to know what's up with this book. Like, I really want to dig into it. So I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't fit this one onto the list. And finally, I'm really annoyed that this isn't on there because this is a trilogy, so 3 more books, but I really wanted to read more John Gwynne. I read The Faithful and the Fallen in 2024 and I loved it, absolutely loved all 4 books. I consider it to be a 5-star series, like seriously just banger after banger after banger, and I wanted to read well, I want to eventually read the Bloodsworn Saga as well, but I really wanted to read Of Blood and Bone by John Gwynne this year. Like, it's up there on the shelf. You can see The Faithful and the Fallen on top, and below it is, yeah, the Of Blood and Bone trilogy. And it's my understanding that it's in the same world as The Faithful and the Fallen, whether it's like in the near future or the far future, or hell, it could even be in the past. I don't remember. But I really, really want to read more from this author and more in this world. So I'm kicking myself that this isn't officially on the list of 26 for 26. But there you have it as a, I don't know, honorable mention or possible flex in. That's my list. That's my 26 to 29 things I wanna read in 2026, and a lot of them are not single books, they're like series. Let me see. Yeah, I took a little glance through my list and I didn't do an official real count, and I sometimes only picked 1 book when it was like, "Hey, you're on book 2 of a long ass series," and I was like, "Okay, well, I only committed to reading book 2," and in some cases, it's like, "Oh, you have 2 books left in a trilogy, okay, I'm gonna count them as 2," but either way, this is a very rough count, but that 26 to 29 things listed there, yeah, that got me past 60 books, probably in the ballpark of 65 on the list. And if I counted some of those, series as full series and not just as a couple books, yeah, I don't think I'd be shocked if the number was like 80 plus. So again, just like with our list for 2025, the chances of us completing it and reading them all are pretty low. But that's okay. We love making lists and not completing them on this channel. We love making TBRs and ignoring them. It's all a bit of fun. All right. I like making a list. I like talking about the books that I'm excited to read. Whether I get to them this year or not, only time will tell. Or your comments. Convince me. Convince me in the comments to read some of these books, to pick them up sooner rather than later, or to not pick them up at all. Did you read some of these books and think it was an absolute waste of your time? Let me know that too. Let me know about the garbage reads in the comments. I'm here for all of it. The good, the bad, the whatever. The whatever. All right. So I'll be back with you soon with more bookish content in the future, as that's one of our priority goals for 2026. Subscribe for more bookish content to come. I'd love to have you here. Bye bye.